Moving on to Antoine Wesley out of Texas Tech. This is a 76.125-inch receiver, so barely over 6'4", 206 pounds, 9.75-inch hands, 79.75-inch wingspan. So his height, he's one of the tallest in the class. His hand size is slightly above average. His wingspan is above average. He's 21.44 years old, so he is one of the younger receivers in this class. He's coming out as a junior. His weight divided by height is below average. He's pretty skinny if you look at the film. Nothing wrong with his span divided by his height or his hand size divided by his height at all. So Wesley did go to the combine. It was not a particularly impressive event though. He was below average on the broad jump, jumping 117 inches. Horrible on the bench with 6 reps. He ran a pretty middling 7.07 3-cone, and he ran a slightly below average 4.26 20-yard shuttle. The most concerning thing to me about his combine experience was he did not participate in the 40. He did not participate in the vertical. When I have questions about his athleticism on tape and they start skipping events, I always assume the worst. He also did not compete in the 60-yard shuttle, but most of the receivers at this combine didn't as well. So let's get right into the film. First game was against Houston. Looked super skinny and fairly uncoordinated with his body. Gave effort to try and block for his teammate, but just not fast enough. He looks really weak. We saw that weakness on display at the combine. Good form and a willing blocker. Good blocker on bubble screens. False steps. Great comeback route. Fake head inside. Fake up, nice deceleration, and a comeback for the ball. Good job making 2 people miss and decent speed down the sideline with a great cutback at the end to get into the end zone. That shows that he does have a little bit of agility. The times at the combine show that he's about middle of the pack in that area, but on film he does show the ability to use that agility. I'd say average to below average acceleration, average long speed, and above average agility. Seems to have good body control and football IQ, but just seems a little bit off balance. Willing to at least try to lower the shoulder into tacklers, but just isn't successful. Slow off the ball and in his releases. No power on his release. Loses every hand fight. That is very concerning. At the combine, he showed us that he was weak. He did not show us how fast he was. And then you add that he has no power on film. You add that he can't hand fight. That's not a very good recipe against press man quarterbacks in the NFL, who are more athletic than cornerbacks he's probably seen in the Big 12. Nice release in the end zone. He reminds me of a slightly worse version of David Sills V from West Virginia once they get close to the goal line. So David Sills is a prospect that's going to be coming up here in the Tier 3 wide receivers. On to Virginia. Nice hands catcher, showed the ability to track over the shoulder, showed the ability to jump up and high point the ball. Both catches were uncontested. Tries to maximize the yardage. Can track the flight path of the ball, but didn't make the catch. Got driven back hard while blocking. Looks very weak. Doesn't sustain his blocks for long enough. Doesn't separate with athleticism at all. Does not burst out of his breaks. Failed to catch a pretty easy contested deep slant. Didn't shield the defender with his body. When I'm talking about shielding the defender from the ball with your body, that means you draw a line in between the nose of the football and the middle of the defender. Your body needs to be in between that at the very least. Ideally, you can get your hips on the defender and lean forward, creating horizontal separation between where your hands would be if you're standing straight up and if you're bent over at, say, a 20-degree angle. Just that 1 foot can be the difference between a DB being able to get their hand on it or not in the NFL. Nice concentration throughout the catch, even when he bobbled it. Good job of coming back to the football when he could tell that the defender was closing. Dropped another ball during contact, over the shoulder, left sideline deep. So far, we've seen a lot of contested catch issues with him. When you see him unable to actually win the contested catch, and you see him not have good technique in shielding the defender from the ball, and he's weak, I don't really care that he's 6'4". I don't see him winning very many contested catch balls in the NFL if he's not doing them at Texas Tech against Big 12 DBs. Found an extra gear, even though it's really still not that fast, once the ball was in the air and changed direction. The last game scouted was TCU. Nice cut block on a bubble, so that's the second time we've said he's good at blocking on screens. Maybe there's a way he can go on the field as a situational blocker. not willing to throw his body to make a block very often. So this is what I was kind of referring to earlier when someone's about to make a contested catch over the middle and they have alligator arms. It's because in their brain, their instinct to preserve themselves is greater than the instinct to win. That is something I don't like to see. I want to see the instinct to win every single snap, every single second until the whistle. That's just what I prefer. To me, that shows effort. To me, that shows a love of football, not just, I am trying to make money going to the NFL. He likes to block, but he's just not very effective due to strength problems. Great technique and effort as a blocker. Definitely has athleticism concerns. Literally cannot separate with athleticism. Has real problems with physicality. Press man is going to be rough for him. So even earlier in this breakdown, we were talking about how press man is going to be difficult if you can't do these things. It's coming up consistently on the film. Not good at separating when the QB is under pressure. That's a sign that he doesn't really have that athleticism. He can't just out-athletic or out-think the DB when the play breaks down. Or he doesn't know his proper hot route. Or he doesn't have the football instinct to even be aware that his QB is under pressure and needs an outlet. The comeback is definitely his signature route. This information is useful for, say, there's a primetime preseason game and Antoine Wesley catches 6 comeback routes for 130 yards and 2 touchdowns. Well, that's cool, but that's the only route that he actually wins on, from what I've seen. I doubt his lack of speed threatens NFL corners enough for that comeback to be very effective at the next level. He's good at adjusting to the ball, but he just seems uncoordinated and unathletic in a lot of ways to me, and weak. Gets locked up when jammed, doesn't have the strength to get off. I did not watch anymore. Again, this was another guy that I just could not waste the time watching the film on anymore. I kind of saw what I needed to see. Could tell he's not someone I'm picking in any rookie draft, primarily based on how skinny he is for his height, how unathletic he is for how skinny he is, and his issues with contested catching. When you add all of those together in a 6'4" wide receiver, it doesn't really matter that he's 6'4". He's not out-muscling anyone. He's now outrunning anyone. The only time he's beating someone with routes is on one route. Overall, he's someone that, say he puts on 20 pounds over 2 years, he's got a shot. There's a good chance that he's simply too skinny for his frame, and once he starts putting on muscle, maybe he gets a little bit more athletic, a little faster, a little stronger, learns how to shield defenders with his body, because he does have good hands. He just doesn't really get football all the way, in my opinion. So he's someone to keep an eye on. I'm not drafting him. Maybe if I was in a 6 or 7 round rookie draft and I had a big taxi squad, I might stash him for a couple years, but I'm really not too high on Antoine Wesley out of Texas Tech.